Welcome to the general gameplay guide for SCP Site Roleplay. This will be split into multiple sections, each telling you the basics of each aspect. Hopefully you will find this useful in order to better yourself at the game. SCP Site Roleplay is a role-playing game made by Viscrold, Melstead, Ben and Dev, Administrative Admin, and a group of other people listed in the credits. It is set in the SCP universe, obviously, and has plenty of content for you to find and explore, and has a very strong community and replayability. There are 9 teams that you can play as, with 2 more coming in the future that are currently known publicly. Class D, aka CD, is objectively the most basic team. You spawn in a cell, which leads out to the Class D containment. There are less rules to follow than a Foundation personnel, and is the first team that most people play as. Scientific Department, aka SCD, is a scientist role that gives you a clipboard to make notes as you're testing Class D. You spawn in the science lab next to the CDC. Keep in mind that you'll need a combatant to cuff the Class Ds you want to test. Security Department, aka SD, is a combative team tasked with escorting tests and watching over the CDC. Since Mobile Task Force is usually full, SD is likely the first combative or even Foundation team that they play as. Mobile Task Force, aka MTF, is a combative team tasked with protecting the site from threats such as dangerous Chaos Insurgents, Class D, or breached anomalies. It's currently the only team that has multiple variants, 4 to be exact, which are Alpha 1, Beta 7, Epsilon 11, and NU 7. Chaos Insurgency, aka CI, is a paid hostile combative team which is tasked with causing as much havoc and destruction to this Foundation as possible. They have high access to almost all parts of the site and can reach SCPs and terminate Foundation personnel freely. Rapid Response Team, aka RRT, is a paid combative team tasked with handling dangerous threats, whether that be a CI or an SCP. They are also tasked with controlling Class D riots, and is generally considered a better MTF team, boasting a stamina and run speed boost, extra guns, and very epic drip. Intelligence Agency, aka IA, is a paid Foundation team tasked with watching over personnel and using special devices such as the camera system and the alarms located in the control room. Site Director, aka SID, is a paid Foundation team tasked with keeping watch over the site's operations, whether that be discussing issues with other executives or directing personnel on where to go and what tasks to perform. O5 Commands, aka O5, is a paid Foundation team tasked with running the site and stepping in when a situation arises. They have Omni-level access to all parts of the facility and have access to many powerful tools. This council is at the top of the Foundation command chain. The currently known teams that are planned for the future is the Medical Team and the Internal Security Department. There are a lot of places in SSRP. I won't be going every SCP, as that might be for another video, but I will be going over every major place in the facility. Class D Containment, aka CDC, is, as the name states, contains Class D personnel. It features a cell block, a gym, a cafeteria, mining area / boxing ring, and a main area for Class D to walk around. It has a few exits which require a crowbar to use. This exit is probably the best, since it doesn't make a lot of sounds and takes you to the sewers, where you can get an M4. This area also has 2 briefing rooms, an access hall, and an outer area for Foundation to guard and patrol. There are also 2 staircases leading up to an observation floor, including a catwalk and a CCTV system. If you're fighting Class D, the catwalk wouldn't be a good spot to shoot. However, the tower could provide for some decent cover, but don't stay there for too long. Containment 1, aka Con 1, is a containment zone that houses most of the safe SCPs in the game. It also has connections to almost every area in the game, connecting to things such as CDC, Control Room, Containment 2, and Maintenance. This is generally a pretty safe place, but be wary of this vent up here, as it is a commonplace CI drop. Maintenance is an important area of the game, as it has the coolants and gens that often go down due to CI and CD activities. When the power goes out, 106 will reach after a small amount of time, and you will have to fix them. In order to fix them, you'll have to go into coolants and turn both of them on. Be wary of the gas in this room, as you do take damage over time, and if you're trying to fix coolants without a gas mask, you have to be quick. After that, head to the generator room. When these lights go green, you can turn on the generators. Be wary of this area, as CD and CI are usually guarding this place. The Armory is the spawn for all Foundation combatives, located in Con 1. You can get all of the tools in order to contain SCPs in the Response Forces room. This area also contains a security room for SD and an arsenal that contains a shooting range, a store, and a tram area. The arsenal room currently serves no purpose as of now, but future updates will most likely add functionality later on. The elevators lead down to a maintenance hatch, a vent, and an exit to Con 1. CD will occasionally try to steal guns to the vents, so watch out for that. The control room, aka CR, is a room that is similar to Armory, having an entrance type room with a maintenance hatch and elevators. Down the elevator, you will find a big room containing lots of buttons and rooms. The main room features a multitude of alarms and camera systems used to notify other Foundation personnel of what is happening at the site. You can also see the logs of who used what alarms down here, and the screen displays the map and current alarms. Upstairs, there's a meeting room where you can discuss site procedures with fellow high ranks. Each seat is also equipped with a CCTV camera, and the room also has a TV and a map of Site 64. Upstairs, there's an observation deck that serves as a kind of chill out area. Back to the main room, there's an admin zone that features a mainframe and some offices. Mainframe currently serves no purpose, but there is currently some speculation that it will be related to CI in the future, but it may very well be just for cosmetic purpose. The offices have 4 rooms, each one being identical to one another. It currently serves no purpose, and just like the mainframe, it might just be for cosmetic. Finally, at the end of the hallway, there's a blocked off door that says internal security above it. This is one of the 2 upcoming teams that will be coming later on. CR also acts as a spawn room for IA, SID, and O5. If you have the level 5 game pass, you may access the control room on any Foundation personnel team. Entrance Zone, aka Easy, is a sector that currently doesn't have too much use. It has a med bay, cafeteria, breach shelter, archives room, and links up to the tram line and maintenance. There's some pretty cool reading that you could do in the archives, which I personally enjoy, and a med bay with a teddy bear that you can use in 914 for a better medkit. There's a basic info in med bay about medical screening, and an NPC in the cafeteria that you can talk to. We also can't forget the Saul Goodman portrait in the breach shelter. Containment 2, aka Con 2, is a containment sector that holds most of the Yuku class SCPs in the site. It has a nuclear shelter that you can go into in case of a nuclear detonation and a breach shelter. Most of these SCPs are pretty safe, and unless you're talking about 035, a Keter class playable SCP by CDs only, or 173, a Euclid class SCP that snaps your neck when you're not looking at it. There is also 008 and 409 that occasionally break loose and usually infect places such as Connex Checkpoint, but they're relatively easy to handle at a distance. Connex Checkpoint, aka Connex CP or just CP, is a checkpoint as the name states, and is a sort of buffer area between the highly dangerous Containment X and Con 2. It features 2 different ways to enter: a Foundation personnel access, a quick check and scan of the person wishing to enter, and a Class T transfer, a more secure way of transferring tests, unlike the old checkpoint that just had 2 detectors in a small room. Rest in peace. It has a secure gateway that only level 4 and up Foundation can access, 2 detectors so people in the security booth can see what Class D have, and some pads that CDs can stand on while waiting to transfer. The security booth is a secure booth for Foundation working at Connex that makes it pretty easy to filter Foundation and CDs at. Turret console is for lower level FPs, level 3 and below, to be authorized and filtered through CP. If you are unauthorized, it will play an Access Denied sound, and the light at the top will go red. If you decide to try to go to Containment X, the turret will immediately terminate you after crossing this line. If you're authorized, you could pass through without worry. I would say if there's a large amount of CI in the server, try to get more people working at the checkpoint, because the checkpoint is required to pass through in order to get to Connex. If you can't tell whether a CI or FP is passing through, listen to the sound the detector makes. If it sounds like this, you have a CI in the checkpoint, and you should probably terminate them as soon as possible. Some teams are exempt from this level 4 rule. If you are at ROT, IA, SID, or O5, you can pass through and open all the doors in Connex. This also applies if you have the level 5 game pass. Welcome to Containment X, aka Connex. Whether you've bought a game pass or grinded for level 4, you're in the highest, most dangerous containment zone that you can be in. Connex holds most of the Keter class SCPs in the site and is generally considered the most dangerous place in the site. Sometimes the CDC, but we don't talk about that. Every SCP in Connex is highly dangerous, and you can be killed very easily if there's a containment breach here. It is a prime target for CI, so watch out for them if they're present in the server. The nuke room is also located here, and is a place for O5 to nuke the site when it is needed. If you're in a server with the requirements to nuke, which are 3+ SCPs breached, and a breach/lockdown alarm paired with a high threat alarm, you will need the O5s to vote on the nuke. If the majority wins, 2 O5 will have to head to the nuke room, usually via the maintenance tunnels. Do not abuse this feature, and be absolutely sure that you can nuke. If abused, there will be heavy consequences. If you do believe that there are nuke abusers in the server, take screenshots or record a video, and make a ticket in the community server. Lower Connex, aka Lower, is an extension of Connex holding some of the most dangerous SCPs in the site. There are currently 3 SCPs located in Lower, that being SCP-096, a Euclid-class SCP that will hunt you down and kill you for looking at its face, SCP-106, a Keter-class SCP that breaches when the lights go out, bringing you into his pocket dimension, and SCP-076, a playable SCP currently only available for devs to use. 076 will be coming as a playable SCP as a one-life tool, along with a few other SCPs sometime in the future. In order to get these SCPs, you must either go down the lift or take the stairs. If the lift is on your floor when you want to go up or down, taking it would be the quickest way. If the button is green and not on your floor, it would be quicker to take the stairs. That covers all of the locations in the site and their general procedures. There will be a guide in the future covering all the SCPs and how to breach and recontain them. Combat is a very important and core feature of the game, and if you know how to fight, it'll make the game a lot easier. There are lots of barriers to the site, and they're not there just for decoration. They're quite important, as they provide cover for you if you get into a fight. If you find yourself in a fight, pull out your gun and aim it. This allows you to peek around the barrier and pretty much any corner without having to expose yourself. If you're on a barrier such as this, you can press Z to switch shoulders. This allows you to peek in both directions while being actively ready to fire. The same thing goes for corners. My second tip is to make sure that you're always reloaded. If you're in a fight and you fire shots, get behind a barrier and reload. Keep in mind that you should reload when you have time. If you're getting rushed, do not reload. If you have a secondary gun, switch to it. If you get out of a fight, take the time to reload. You can see that after I get out of a fight, I instantly start reloading my guns. You never know when you're getting into a gunfight, so stay prepared. My third tip is to always aim for the head. It may be difficult to do for some players, but with enough practice, it gets pretty easy. The split-second difference may be the difference between life and death. My fourth tip is to use guns as they're intended. The MP5 SD and M4 are great weapons for long to mid-range combat, but the M249 is much less accurate at that distance and is more made for crowds and for more close-range combat. Notice that there's a big difference between the MP5 and the M2 on long range. Pistols are not the best weapons and are more used for a last resort. If you have a good aim with the Deagle, it can serve as a pretty efficient weapon, but most of the time sticking to automatics is the way to go. Another tip is to use the taser to your advantage. If you're about to run into a single CI or CD, it's a deadly weapon against unsuspecting targets. I don't personally use it too much, and it isn't too good against groups, as the ones not tased will target you pretty quickly. Another thing is that rushing can be beneficial in some cases, but rushing crowds or groups isn't a very good idea. Unless you're a Class D that just wants to cause chaos, it would be best to catch them by surprise, or maybe take them from a distance. If you're wondering on what a good time to rush is, make sure to watch their health, and if you see that they're low and you're not, that would be a good time to rush. If you can't see their health, try to determine how many times you hit them and decide from there. Rushing in a group is good, but rushing down a long corridor such as Connex wouldn't be a good idea because you could get beamed pretty easily. Using a barricade and headshot rule with good distance, such as the MP5, can make for a pretty easy kill. Another useful thing that you can use is jumping. It's frowned upon by some people, but it's mostly because of a skill issue. Just be thankful that there isn't crouching in the game because hitting headshots would be a lot harder. So, to summarize, use cover and good spots in general. Make sure to look where you're going, especially around corners. Reload. Use your other guns if you have them. Headshot, jump, and use your gear to your advantage. Other miscellaneous combat tips are always have your gun out, don't fight until you need to, stay in a small group if possible, and just be prepared as much as you can. Those were all the combat tips, and I know I haven't covered everything there is to know, but this is just a general guide. If you want me to make an advanced combat tips video or something like that, let me know in the comments. Now, we'll be applying what you learned to hopefully better yourself in the future. I'll play 2 short clips of Class D gameplay and SD gameplay. This will cover the most basic teams and what they do. Again, I won't be going over every team, or this video would be 7 hours long. Separate stuff like every team may be for another video, as this is only the broad general gameplay guide. Alright, here is the Class D gameplay, and I'm going to be doing some live commentary over it. So this is just edited over, like cut, so I can commentate over it. But mostly this is just going to be some of my kind of like live reaction to this stuff. So this 05 tells us to Class D to get into the like briefing room, and he gives us a little briefing. And then there's a little time lapse because the whole like room kind of gets killed off for a bit, and then another scientist just kind of like takes over for a bit. So now I grabbed a mop just in case we're going to 173, and we're on our way to probably Connex because that's where most tests usually go. And then right after here, we go inside of the little area right here, and then I get on top of my pad. And after we're kind of like transferred through, we go back and we kind of just wait for our scientist right here. And here she comes, and she actually takes us to 049. And I grab some lavender preemptively, I think. Yeah, I do. And then, yeah, I actually noticed that below lavender is actually some contrabands, which isn't good, so I get uncuffed. Yeah, that's kind of when I realized. And then I detain myself again just to get rid of it from my inventory. And then the scientist actually tells us to grab the lavender. So right after, I kind of like tell her that it's contraband, but she still tells me to grab it. And I don't really want to die, so I comply. Then we go to testing. So, you know, as a class D, just comply with what the scientist says. Here's the scientist like trying to convince the O5 to aggro 049, which I'd say that it's not a really safe thing to do because it usually breaches if you aggro it. And it looks like 049 actually aggroed on us. And I'm kind of like stuck in here, so I have to kind of like juke him out to get out. And then the SD shoots us a few times, which wasn't really too necessary. And then we get out. And then, let's see. Yeah, and then I detain myself to get rid of the lavender because I don't want to have any contraband in my inventory. And after that, yeah, the lights go out, actually. And then we just kind of chill out in 457 a bit. And the SD tells us to follow him so we can get away from 106. And we're going over to lower. Yeah, we're going down the lifts. So yeah, I'm just kind of assuming that we're probably going to get one of our femurs broken. And that's them talking over in comms right there. And we actually hear 096 aggroed, so as a kind of like preemptive measure, I kind of like phase the wall pretty quickly here. And after the SD gives us the all clear, we head over. And I kind of just wait here because 096 could be down his containment hallway. But it doesn't look like it, but I still kind of take like a precautious type of maneuver right there. And we're down in 106 now. So now, she kind of asks us indirectly for a femur break. And then the SD tells him to get out. So yeah, I'm the femur sacrifice. And there we go. And I'm led into here. And there's a pretty high chance that I don't really make it out. And I just kind of sit here for a little bit and kind of contemplate what I've just decided for myself. And yeah, that's around the end of the journey right there. And my femur is broken. And there we go. And 106 takes me into his pocket dimension as the SCP is recontained. And let's see, I choose one and I get the cage. Yeah, the cage is unescapable. And I do a little dance before I die. And yeah, that's the Class D gameplay. Pretty basic, pretty self-explanatory, and the cycle continues. Alright, now this is the SD gameplay. Now SD is a bit more complicated than CD, but it's still pretty self-explanatory. So I kind of like change my path because lights are off, and we're going to go ahead and get coolants on. So yeah, let's head over here. And I actually don't notice that this guy is a CI. But yeah, that was some pretty mid-aim on my part. I probably would have died there. But yeah, now we're into maintenance. We're being pretty careful here. I get healed by an 05. And we're going into the coolants. Now, if you don't have a mask here, Overseer SDs actually do get a mask. But I was not Overseer at the time. So yeah, we're just having to go as fast as we possibly can in order to turn on coolants. Yeah, I noticed that I immediately go up the ladder after turning on coolants, and then I get out of there. And then I actually hear some UMP shots in the background, so I kind of post up and see if there's any CI that are about to enter. But then I decide that it's all good, and yeah, we turn on some generators right after. And then we head over to containment 1. And then going past actually CDC, I decided alter my path because I do hear a lot of gunshots from briefing room B. And then, yeah, let's see. I press Z to switch shoulders, look over, and I decide that 196 is a bit more important than that because I did get a report from that earlier. Oh, I jump just in case that was a CI, and we check 096, and we actually see that 096 is recontained. So now we're just going to go over here and just do a quick check of 106 real quickly. Now something kind of strange happened here. I think it might have been a ping issue on my part, but I did get kind of like beamed instantly, even when I was like behind the wall, but that may have been a ping issue. There was actually like some reports of a hacker, but I'm not entirely sure. Let's see. So I hear some vent noises, opening vent with crowbar, and as soon as the CD comes down, I take the time to kind of beam him, which is pretty unfortunate timing on his part, but yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah, I do hear some 106 sounds, and I hear like the barely like the end of the like killing sound for 096, so I decide to head in, and it looks safe to me. So I head out back to 106, and then here we go. And notice that I'm a lot more cautious this time because I might get beamed again, but I decide that I'm going to go over. And then we don't find anything here, so we head back up, and let's see. I think 070 is actually here. And yeah, I heard him, and I'm just gonna run away. And I turned on the UV flashlight a bit too late. And then this guy was actually kind of salty that he died, but he didn't take basic audio cues. But anyways, back to 017. Recontainment. I get my UV flashlight, and we actually recontained him pretty smoothly. He uses his flashlight to kind of like lure him in, or like kind of like push him into his containment cell, and I kind of just sit here and wait for him to push him back in, and then his AI takes him over to the lights because he does aggro onto me directly. So there we go, pretty smooth recontainment on our part. So yeah, I obviously report on a 7 recontained, and that kind of startled me. I actually got him quite low for the disadvantage that was, and then with the number of gunshots there were, he probably died. So I assumed that was probably resolved there. And I actually hear something in 914, so I kind of like cue this guy, and he didn't take the hint, so he kind of just head into con 2, and that was a CI that just head out. And then I kind of just wait here, and then he closes the door because he obviously knows that I'm here. And then I decide to go past into the barrier. And this is actually not a very good play on my part because, yeah, and then I report him in the radio, and then I decide to shoot him right after, and then he rushes me. And I decided to pull up my M2 right there, which wasn't the best decision. That was a very good play on his part because he did have an M4. M4's won a lot of fights. Let's see, and then, yeah, he gets killed pretty quickly right there. And then, let's see, I decide to go over to this test right here. It's a pretty big test. And then I hear an ungodly amount of access denied sounds. That was just really funny to me. Yeah. And then we head into Connex, and that was really loud. This is actually like put down to like a lot, like negative 12 dBs. And I actually head in and find that this guy has a UMP, so I take a mental note of that. And then we head over to the lift, and I don't recognize his username on the lift, so I don't know exactly where he went. So now we head over to 196, where he's actually aggroed to this guy right here. So then we instantly terminate him, and then the 196 aggro sounds immediately stop right after. You have to be careful with these tests because a lot of CDs do want to cause a containment breach. Just like this guy is probably going to try to go to the door right here as soon as he aggroes. And yeah, he does. And that's a decent play on his part because that does open the door and expose his face. So anybody that goes into the outer door gets immediately aggroed by his face. That's a pretty deadly move, but we get it all under control. And that's about all for the SD gameplay. It's pretty self-explanatory. We get on a 6 recontained there. But yeah, it's the first FP team that most people play as. But yeah, that was the SD gameplay. Hope you guys did enjoy that commentary. Now that you've seen some gameplay, hopefully you know a bit more about the game after those clips. Now we'll go over some other miscellaneous information, then the guide will be done. You can use these spots to patch vents. You can also use an emote too, but it's off sale. If you see a pipe leak, stay away from the gas and click it. You can touch dirt spots one time with a mop and they will go away. Read the radio often, as there is most likely useful info in there. There's another Saul Goodman portrait in CDC. If being chased by a player-controlled SCP, go into an area with a minigun. Don't jump from high places, or you will ragdoll and take fall damage. Crowding the entrance area of CP is not a good idea, as 008, 409, and 035 are very powerful in crowds. Use the airlocks to your advantage. It will prevent a breach most of the time. You can listen to 096's ambience to check if he's there instead of opening the cage. If you're in 106 during a 106 breach, watch out for this area. CDs and sometimes CI will use this as a quick way to get to Connex. And my final tip for you is read the rulebook. Come on. I know we aren't playing a Liberty County private role-playing server, but there is a lot of rules to this game, and being well-versed in them will help you a lot in everyday situations in this game. There are lots of people who have gotten punished due to poor action, and if you don't take the time to read the rulebook, you could suffer the same fate. So do the community a favor and read the rules. It'll help you a lot more than you know. That's about it for this guide, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. This video took ages to make, so subscribing would mean the world to me. This has been the ultimate beginner's guide for SSRP, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.